I don't want to get too emotional with it, but it's the idea of also like creating a community and creating friendships by playing video games. Like there's so many people that have found their best friend that they haven't met before.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Episode 67 of the Sean Lowery podcast. And I have with me Darren Glover from Vayner Sports. What's up, Darren?
What's going on, son? How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to talk to you. You're a relapsing basketball addict turned marketing and gaming addict. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the quick intro that I could provide. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. And I'm kind of having you on as an expert about esports. So esports is fascinating to me. And I know that most of the people that I talk to about esports, you hear the kind of thing like, oh, I don't know who would want to watch video games for entertainment. Video games, or why would you watch that? Don't you want to play it? And right. I've said that before in my life. I'm not going to lie, but I'm not a huge gamer myself. I mean, I like playing sports video games kind of, but I am a huge fan of sports. And, I mostly like business. It's kind of a business podcast, but I love talking about kind of where the world is going, like technology, trends. I try to pay attention to that type of stuff. And I keep hearing smart people talking about esports. And I kind of want my audience and myself to learn more about it. I think Michael Jordan's invested in the team, A-Rod. And I've had two people on my podcast before. One named David Meltzer, who's a really successful guy. He's invested in esports. And this other guy who's like a singer named Clinton Sparks. He's invested in esports. He has this thing called XSET. You familiar with that?
Of course, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So esports.
Yeah, I mean, I think I saw a graphic the other day that like really sets the mood for everything that you just talked about, which is it's that classic, and depending on what context of a conversation or industry you're in, people use it in a different way, but it's that it's the iceberg thing. Right? Where he's got the tip of the iceberg is what you see. And then you've got the actual iceberg that's underneath. The tip of the iceberg is esports.
Okay.
The iceberg underneath the water is gaming, right? Gaming is becoming a form of entertainment. So things like Twitch, Facebook gaming, YouTube gaming, it's opened the door to this new form of entertainment. Before Twitch and YouTube gaming and Facebook gaming, if you wanted to take part in esports, it was all based on like a LAN event. Like you have to go somewhere to play the game and to watch the games. And there weren't platforms to help broadcast the games. Before Twitch, it was Justin TV. Like live streaming was nothing. It was not a popular thing to do, and it wasn't a popular form of entertainment to go home after work or after school and watch people live stream themselves. Like that wasn't a thing yet. So it was very much like a timing aspect where we're just in this age of watching people play on these platforms is just what's popular and what's trendy. And then that's where it's really just an attention game too, right? It's just like brands and investments and money and people, we all just kind of follow where the crowd goes. And the crowd is moving towards gaming. And from gaming, the competitive is esports.
Okay, right. Yeah, I've accepted the part that for entertainment, people can watch other people play games. I accept that part. It seems fun, especially when the people are talking. It seems kind of cool.
Yeah, and even at that, the majority of the industry, right, is built not on the game that they're playing, but the person that's playing it. I don't like to just watch Billy Bob on Twitch play Call of Duty. I like to watch Nick Merckx, Cloak Z, Symph, Husk. Like I like to watch a specific
because of their personality and them talking, or just the way they play the game.
Both, right? So it's that combination where you've got some of the best competitive people at a specific title, have no social media following, no audience, no community, nobody cares about them playing on Twitch, but they're the best player that plays that game. And then you have vice versa. You have some of the biggest name people on Twitch that can't compete competitively, but people love watching them play because it's a blend of entertainment. They're good at the game. I think someone that does it the best is obviously Dr. Disrespect. Like it's a
Okay.
show. They have their own show. Like what you're doing right now is a show. And people on Twitch that have built up communities, it's the ones that do it the best think of their Twitch as a show. They're creating
Right.
a show every day for a big audience of people. It's just their form of entertainment is not
Okay.
insight and info like you have on your podcast. It's
Right.
entertainment via
Right.
playing video games with
Okay.
other people.
All right. So entertainment. Got it. So like it's like a TV show per se. Now, a TV show on Netflix or TV or something is different than watching the NBA finals, right? So
Right.
there's the competitive element, there's the entertainment element. I understand that. So like if we're going to use the analogy of like real sports, right? So someone understands real sports, baseball, basketball, football, the best leagues, the best players, team sports. Would you compare esports? How are those two things comparable? Like real sports to esports? And then is it a separate category to have kind of comparing like just a TV show and entertainment? Are they two kind of separate things, the competitive part and the entertainment part? Like where does the competitive element come in?
Yeah, it's a part of the industry. I mean, again, it's like I always just go back because I'm a visual learner and I understand things visually. But it's truly the iceberg. The majority of this vertical, this industry, is not competitive. The majority of the industry is the entertainment of the casual demographic of people that are playing video games that are. I've been playing video games forever. I never even really knew about Twitch and watching people and esports. Like I knew it was there, but it wasn't something that I was necessarily, when I was in middle school and high school, I didn't really want to watch other people play Call of Duty competitively, even though every night I would go home and play Call of Duty for 4 hours with my friends. So it's a timing thing of culture that it's becoming a form of entertainment. And from that entertainment, part of entertainment in a sport is the very best people at that sport is the NBA, the NFL, the MLB, the NHL.
With those, they have a time where the game is, they have an opponent. And I'm sure there's some of that, but also I guess if like LeBron James was shooting in his driveway, that's not really sports, but that could be like entertainment. Is there like scheduled events, but then also whenever one of these guys, who's this guy, Doctor, who'd you say that was?
Dr. Disrespect.
Dr. Disrespect. I have heard that name before. Sometimes does he just like turn on his channel or Twitch or whatever and just start playing and people watch? Or like how organized, how much is it at a certain time? Is it like shows are at a certain time? Like, wait, what's that like?
I think it's a great, the reason the NBA is booming is not because of the traditional way that the NBA grew, which was you take the best people, you put them in a bunch of different arenas in a bunch of different cities, and they get broadcasted on national television. Right. That's not why the NBA is where the NBA is today. The NBA is where they are today because over the last 10 years, they've evolved into social media. And from social media, you have all these content creators, I think Famous Los is like, you have all these people that are playing basketball and using basketball content as a form of entertainment. That's the meat of why the NBA, to me, is exploding, is because basketball content has been as more accessible to fans than what the MLB is because of the way that the media is.
Right. I've heard Garyvee talk about how bad the MLB has done their licensing or whatever, their distribution of their content.
So to me, it's very similar to that of the essence of competitive gaming is a element to it, but it's just been flipped now because the NBA started as the main the competitive because of
but the pillar content of the NBA is still the games.
The pillar content of the NBA is the community of people that want to play and watch basketball content. And the NBA is their ability to watch the very best in the world play. But anybody who's a follower of the NBA, if they don't just follow NBA on social media, they don't only consume basketball content when the game is played on a Thursday and a Saturday. That's not their only form of consumption of basketball. They're consuming basketball content every day
absolutely. I mean, even like ESPN talk shows, people talking about it, absolutely. I think Kevin Durant has his own podcast now.
But that's the exact same thing where people look at esports as there's a competitive nature to it. There's always been a competitive nature to it, but the growth and the fire that's been lit under the industry is the accessibility and the consumption of gaming content is what's driving esports. Now the competitive scene is just different because the competitive scene has to catch up with what's happening to the more of like the consumption and entertainment.
Okay, so it's like a flip. The NBA started with mostly the competitive scene, and now fans have other content, individual people with their own content. They still have the games. I guess that's where I have a little bit of trouble understanding it.
And not to just jump in, but it's one more aspect of it is the most famous people. I'm just going to keep using the NBA. The most famous people in basketball are the NBA players.
Right.
That's not true with gaming. The most famous people in gaming are these entertainers that play video games. That's the difference in the culture. And that's what we're just slowly moving
That's
into.
That's where my like trouble to understand it is, because I'm trying to compare it to traditional sports. So Vayner Media, Vayner Sports, you guys represent talent, right? That's what you guys do. You represent gamers. And
correct.
Are you, obviously anyone who you want to represent will be somebody who's bringing in a lot of money, bringing in eyeballs, bringing in attention. So do you necessarily care if they're the very best at competing with others, or do you care that they have the biggest channel and the most eyeballs and the most entertaining? Which one's more important when you look to represent a gamer?
Both, and we take both into account. It depends on who we're going after. So from Vayner Gaming's perspective, so Vayner Sports is it's turning into more of a holding company, right? So we've got Vayner Football, Vayner Baseball, Vayner Combat, and Vayner Gaming. Gaming is the representation of gaming content creators and esports athletes.
Okay, so two different things.
So the way that you would treat a gaming content creator is differently than how you would potentially. There's unique things that you wouldn't have to do for an esports athlete, or the way that you would treat an esports athlete who's trying to sign to a competitive organization and competes and has a schedule and all of that. It's just different, but they're both valuable. The difference is just the fact that one is more of the entertainer of gaming content and the other, and to the sense of esports athletes aren't guaranteed a big following. They're not the most famous in the industry. So like part of the Vayner Gaming value of like Booga is our client, won the Fortnite World Cup in 2019, has had a following before and got some extra following after he won, obviously. But we've been able to take his channels from a total of 3.5 million followers everywhere back in October last year. So we just did another audit now. He's got over 16.5 million followers everywhere.
So is he entertaining, or is he just more really good at the game?
That's why I feel like we've broken the model in a good way of he is a competitive Fortnite player, but he's got the audience and reach of a content creator, right? So we're trying to mesh the two so that our pitch, so to speak, of a competitive gamer who doesn't have necessarily a huge audience and following and isn't a true content creator, we have that kind of Garyvee secret sauce of content.
The content.
Distribute all of this content on all the other platforms to help make them a more relevant influencer, even though content creation is not in their DNA.
Gotcha. Like Kawhi Leonard, one of the best players in the NBA. Very boring guy. He's got that very boring laugh. He doesn't seem like somebody who's going to have his own talk show one day. And he probably might have a little trouble in the content side. I'm sure you guys, your agency could help him, but like he's focused on playing the game. And if he's the best at the game and he wins 3 MVPs and 3 championships with 3 different teams, then he's going to be very successful because people care about the teams. So for him, like he might not be the most entertaining, but he's making all his money because he's good at the game. And in esports, it's not esports and gaming. It's not necessarily like that. You kind of want to combine the two. And that makes sense. And that is also why I guess I'm a little confused if I'm looking at it from an element of just like, Kawhi Leonard.
It would be like, let's say for the NBA finals, right? You got the Heat and you got the Lakers.
Yep.
Instead of you going to, was that on ESPN, ABC? I forget.
ABC, ESPN.
Whatever. Yeah. So we're going to, instead of going to ESPN,
right?
And that's my only form of access to watch the NBA finals is on ESPN, right? Imagine if you could go onto a platform, whatever, and you could watch the NBA finals via Jimmy Butler's channel, Tyler Hero's channel, LeBron's channel, Anthony Davis's channel. Imagine if there were 20 different channels that were all, you could watch the perspective of the game from their angle.
I mean, to be honest, I would just want to watch the game. I would just want to watch the game. Like sometimes they have like those little hidden cameras on like certain like, and I'm just like, I just want to watch the game.
Yeah, well, and again, you would have that. You'd have ESPN, and then you'd have all these individual channels that have their own fan base. So if I wanted to watch the game from Jimmy Butler's perspective, because I'm a huge Jimmy Butler fan, I could watch the game, the finals, and just watch Jimmy Butler and watch him and do everything he does. That's like what Twitch is. When FNCS, the Fortnite competitive series is going on, you have all these people that are all playing on Fortnite's channel. They've got the main broadcast, but then you have all people that are streaming that competitive game via their own chair, their own stream. They're all, and they have their fan base that's watching it and talking and interacting. Like imagine if every timeout, every free throw, you could ask LeBron a question and he's responding. Like, that's how cool. Engaging and cool.
And that's a good explanation. And that is a big event that you can get. I get the different channels from the different, you can go to your favorite person, but the event is still the event, which gives that event credibility because it is the big game for the finals, right? So that would be the competitive element. So I know there's different leagues, right? Is there one big league? Like for professional sports, there used to be like the ABA, in the NBA, and then they all combined into the NBA. And I think in football, there used to be the AFL, the NFL, they combined. Like, if you're the best basketball player in the world, you're going to play in the NBA. If you're the best soccer player in the world, pretty sure you're going to play in like the English Premier League, or I think there's a couple competitive leagues, but there's the top ones, the Premier Leagues in Europe. You're going there. The best player from America, he's going to make the most money he can in Europe. Is there anything like that? What's the league situation like?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on the title of the game. So each title has a unique competitive league associated with it. So you think of Call of Duty used to have a much more like dispersed competitive scene, but anybody could participate. You and I could just create a team and go get some kids that are good.
I get shot so fast. I'm terrible at Call of Duty.
Well, you could just be the general manager, right? Like we could have just formed a team and paid the fees necessary to like send people to tournaments, and there was less structure to the competitive scene. What's happening now is it's becoming more of an NBA NFL vibe, where now Call of Duty went from MLG and kind of having a dispersed competitive scene to a franchise model, where there's a high price point, $25 million to get into the franchise. It's got structured tournaments. You've got a league office. Like, it's becoming much more like an NBA and NFL. But then there's a league like Fortnite that's ran by the title, and anybody can compete in a competitive. I can compete in competitive Fortnite without being signed to an organization. I cannot compete in the Call of Duty League without being signed to a Call of Duty League team.
Okay, so for the average person's perspective of understanding esports, you help me start by understanding the iceberg thing, where it's gaming and then esports is the top of it. And you can watch it from the player's perspective, and the personalities are just as important as the talent. The other thing that I think is confusing to the average person about esports is the different games. There's so many games, right? Like the best athletes in the world are probably going to play baseball, basketball, football, three options. And it doesn't change. It's always basketball. It's always the same game.
But it has changed. What were the biggest sports back in the 30s to the 60s? You had boxing, you had horse racing.
That's true.
You have,
but not the same person like played those. Like, right. I understand that what's popular, the landscape can shift. But for gaming, like, there's so many games. Like, if you're an athlete, esports athlete, do you become a master of one game, like Fortnite or Call of Duty, or what is Dota? I've heard about Dota. Is that what's that game?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the strategy and structure behind it, but it's just another game that has a competitive scene it's very much like a legacy game. It's been around for quite some time.
Is it like a strategic game or something?
I honestly have.
I've heard. I was Googling about esports this morning. I saw a lot about that, but that's the weird part. There's a lot of games. So you're amazing at Call of Duty. You have a talent. You practice. You know the maps. You know the guns. You know everything about how it works. Like, and you're talented and you're good, and that's your game. You won a big tournament. Now, are you just waiting for the next year's Call of Duty to come out to compete again, and then you stick to that, or is someone with that talent in gaming, are they going to play some other games?
It's very much based on what you want to do as a career in gaming and esports. If you want to sign to a competitive league that has a franchise, yeah, like you're inking a deal for 1-2 years and you've got all sorts of different obligations and whatever it might be. If you want to play a game like Fortnite, you don't need to sign to an org. Like, an organization gives you salary and provides you with exposure and brings you brand opportunities. Like, I hate saying it because it's so overused, but it's really the wild, wild west. It's more of like, what do I want to do as a career? Because if I love Call of Duty, am I going to love it in 2 years? If I sign a 2-year contract, or do I just like first person shooter games and I want to become more of a content creator and have the freedom to make money in different ways? Because it's really like, the only way to make money playing basketball is really to be in the NBA. There's not a lot of other
it's really it.
career options in basketball to make a livable wage. That's not
maybe the Harlem Globetrotters, but
maybe the Harlem like
that's
again,
it.
There's like, you can count it on one hand the amount of opportunities you are to make money. That's not the same in the gaming space. Like, there's all from being a content creator and using gaming as a form of entertainment. There's also community tournaments that are that are Warzone tournaments. That's the battle royale mode of Call of Duty. And there's the $100,000 prize pool and anybody can join. There's all these different platforms that have wager matches where you can win $5 and like 1v1 people. Like, there's all different ways that you can make money from playing video games. And that's kind of what the unstructuredness of gaming is now. Yeah. But it's also the excitement, because if I am good at playing a certain game, I have opportunities to make money from it. If you're the best shooter that I've ever seen, you won't make $1 because no one cares that you're the best 3-point shooter, because no one's wagering you to a 3-point competition at Lifetime Fitness or at your YMCA where you're making money from it.
Right. So there's a lot of different, like,
there's so many different forms of making money and creating revenue.
And it seems like different forms of competitions combined with different games.
There's all different sorts of games. And I think that's also the beauty of it, is just because I'm a great basketball player and I'm super athletic, you put me on ice skates in the hockey rink and I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, just because I'm good at one thing doesn't, but if you're really good at Call of Duty, you might be really good at Apex Legends or at PUBG or at all these different games, because you're using the same instruments to play.
First person shooter games, right?
First person shooter games, they're all unique. But it also gives you the confidence that if you just love video games, you could have a major career. I might win some Warzone tournaments, and then over the next 6 months, I might go switch over to this game. Like, you're becoming a gamer, and you have all these different ways and access to tools and tournaments and community opportunities for you to make money from it. And now it becomes your career and job where you're bringing in revenue every month playing different sorts of video games.
Right. And then, of course, if you build up a brand, just like anything. Yeah, just like anyone who can get eyeballs can find a way to monetize it, like a podcast or anything else, like a cooking channel. So that's another opportunity too. Whew. One thing that's really cool about a real sports is the team element, right? Like, LeBron can't win unless he has different teammates. And like football, you could be the best quarterback, running back, but if your line sucks and your defense sucks, you're not on a good team. Is there any team element games, or is there any team element to esports?
Huge.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of that idea of all different games have their own strategy to them, and even within the games, Fortnite, you can do solos. Like, that's like what Booga won. Booga won the Fortnite World Cup solo, but there was also a winner in duos. And then they currently also have trios. And in Call of Duty right now, there's 5 people that are playing the different game modes inside of Call of Duty. So it's the same thing where you've got your support, you've got more people that are aggressive. You have games like Apex Legends that have different characters that are more like this character is for attacking, where this character is more for defense. And Overwatch has the same, the Overwatch League is another franchise model league that's big, that each character brings their own ability that adds to the success of the team. Where, if you have 5 LeBrons on if you have 5 people who all shoot the ball and all want the ball, that doesn't mean that your team's going to be good. So you need defensive players, you need ball handlers, you need a quarterback. It's the exact.
I'm pretty sure 5 LeBrons would win.
Would probably kick ass. Yeah, they probably would
like, was there ever any like super famous dudes that like teamed up, and like it's almost like from the entertainment element, it'd be like Drake and Lil Wayne or 2 rappers coming together, bringing their audiences together. But also in the competitive element, they'd probably be pretty damn good if they came together and kick everyone's ass. Is there any of that, or like the greats like to like be on different teams?
Yeah, and that's part of what. It was yes and no. I think it's interesting to see some of like the old, I don't want to say old school, but kind of like the old guard of the competitive gaming scene, where now a lot of those guys are either running an organization, they're part of like the business side, they're still content creators, like Nadeshot, who is obviously a big member of 100 Thieves and was one of the founders. Hector with NRG, he was part of Optic Gaming. Like it's cool to see some of the old guard famous people that were making $500 a tournament, back in the late 2000s, that are now working or are a part of or are a centerpiece or are founders of gaming orgs that are valued at $100 million.
Yeah, they understand the industry.
And so from that competitive realm, it's difficult when you start looking at like the franchise model, because it's not up to the player. The player gets to negotiate the deal, and they can do LeBron and AD want to play together. So like they talk to the GM and they figure out a way to do it. Like, yeah, that happens for sure. I think from an entertainment aspect, that's kind of part of this huge like hockey puck uptick in gaming as a form of entertainment. As you see the Ninja, Tim the Tap Man, Nick Merckx, you see like the people that were a part of the rise. That's why they rose, is because they all played with each other. And they were all collaborating.
And the audience loves to see that.
And the audience is mix matching. And you got one fan going over to this stream and that stream. Because again, that's the coolest thing, is each one of them was streaming to their own community.
Right.
So they're all growing their own brand and creating revenue off of their channels. But they're playing with each other so that it's all fan of me goes to your channel, and a fan of your channel goes to my. And
it's like Lil Wayne and like Imagine Dragons doing a song together and bringing in 2 different audiences who both like music.
It's the same concept, where you see Lil Wayne on Imagine Dragons album, and then when Lil Wayne has his album, Imagine Dragons is on Lil Wayne's album. That happens all the time in music today. You see like the same people that every album, they're like, I mean, Drake and Future are perfect, right? Like they go back and forth and they created albums together. They're on each other's albums back and forth. And obviously as the tide rises, so it's, all the ships do as well. So
that's so cool.
It's the exact same thing within gaming.
That's so cool. I want to talk about the business side. But before that, real quick, like I don't know, this is kind of a transition, I guess, but one of the coolest things ever that I thought was Travis Scott when he went into Fortnite and like did the concert. Actually, I don't have a gaming system, but this was during the quarantine and my brother was visiting me and he has Xbox. So I was like, yo, we got to get Fortnite and we got to tune into this concert.
Okay,
and it was so cool. Like, that just is kind of, that was just a cool thing, right? Like I was just so fascinated by the element of that, of like, what could we do in the future with like this world of esports, bringing in like other things. I don't know. I just thought that was so cool and just love talking about that. Like, were you engaged in that?
And it's a great example of Fortnite has been such a visionary in the gaming space with how you can turn a game, right? People think of a video game. Oh yeah, my son plays video games in the basement. He goes down there and plays with his friends. And the element of the game has always been, publishers and developers create a game, they distribute that game to you, and they put objectives in the game for you to figure out how to do stuff. And you're playing with your friends and you all have like a mission to do, or you're playing with just me and you are competing against each other. What Fortnite has done, because they've attracted so many eyeballs and have such a big fan base, is created a brand in and of themselves and have created a platform that it's not just about playing Fortnite. Fortnite is creating entertainment within the game. So it's more of turning into a Netflix, a Hulu,
That's pretty cool.
and ESPN, where they have their own segments of things that you have to do, but it's not about me and you playing against each other or a game mode where we have to defuse the bomb at the end of it and we have to do it in 5 minutes. Fortnite has created such an attention, like it's really ridiculous. The attention that they have on their platform is like over 350 million
young
users.
People. Young people too,
and it's
right?
all young people that you can watch concerts, you can watch movies, like, and I mean, I can't imagine what they have in store, but it's really becoming a competitor to Netflix, right? If Netflix wants to, especially with movies these days, partner with a Hollywood studio and create, like, how many people watch that Travis Scott concert?
Yo, people were going nuts for that. It was cool.
It was a concert.
Yeah, it was a concert. It was sick.
And with no festivals these days, like they're really creating, it's an entertainment platform. That's what Fortnite is. And part of their entertainment platform is the ability to play a game, and there's a competitive scene and everything. But there's this huge, huge piece of their pie chart that is slowly getting bigger and bigger, which is it's a form of entertainment. It's entertaining. I go onto Fortnite not to play the game, but I go to the different areas of the maps that have a different movie or TV show that I watch every night, but I do it within Fortnite. It's the attention grab and the customer base that they have is unlike anything else that we've seen.
That's amazing. I want to talk about the business element from two standpoints. One, from someone who doesn't know how to play, but first, like, the classic thing now is, the kids playing video games all day long, and their parents are like, get off the game, do your homework. And they're like, Mom, you know how much money is made in playing video games these days? I am like training to make money one day. This is going to be my job. So from the standpoint of 15-year-old who loves playing video games, who really loves it, and what percentage of people who play video games try to make money and do make money? Is it just like the amount of people who play basketball, a small percentage make money? Is it similar to that, or is there a wider pie for people to make money?
I think the approach and the mindset is very similar to there's a lot of people that play basketball and a lot of people that don't make money doing it, but they love
1%, like less than 1%. Yeah.
But it's also the drive that people have for the dream of making money, right? When I was a kid playing basketball, I dreamed of being in the NBA, right? So I think the dream is now becoming something that kids are aspirational towards. That's what's growing a lot of that young player base, is because it's, oh man, like, I want to be like that person.
Right. But so the parents who say do your homework are probably right. They're probably not going to end up making a lot of money playing video games.
But and that's the thing too. Like, that's this, again, like, I don't want to call the people aren't stupid, but it's a stupid thing to say. Like, I didn't get great. I was a C student in high school.
Yeah.
You know why? Because I played basketball all the time. I didn't do any homework. Right. So it's the same thing. Like, but I had a passion for doing something.
Right. And which is good.
As soon as esports gets into the D1, D2, and D3 college scene, and parents start to see that high schools are giving out scholarships, that's really where you're going to see parents that say, holy shit, like, my kid is really good at a specific game.
Right.
And the SEC has one of the biggest college competitive scene for
that'll
Overwatch.
open up more people who might not go pro, but could get a scholarship.
I mean, again, like, if as a parent, you're so focused on education,
right?
My parents are focused on my education too, but I want to get a basketball scholarship, so I didn't have to pay for college. Like, that scholarships to get a free education is a huge driver.
That's big. That's big.
It's huge.
So
that's not money
and you're not making money, like we said, a small percentage makes money. But if someone plays D2 for 4 years, gets a great experience and gets college for free, that's great for a lot of people.
100%. And that's to me, it's you're also making money along the way, right? That's we can get into.
I don't know if what about the NCAA with all that?
I know. I was just going to say, we could probably have a whole other podcast around the whole NIL issue with the NCAA, but that would be similar to think of me playing. When I played basketball when I was a kid, imagine me being able to be creating thousands of dollars in revenue.
Right.
I'm still playing the sport and trying to get an education. But if I become a really popular figure in basketball and in my state or my community or my league or my whatever it might be, and I can make money also playing the sport, also working towards a scholarship, that's better than your kid playing sport.
Right. Absolutely. And they're making money. Yeah.
Because now the time that they're putting into it is not only fighting for that scholarship of education, but it's also providing an extra source of income for your kid.
Right. Wow. All right. So you're 17, you're really good at games, and your options are to compete in tournaments and win money by winning them. But the other way is to build up a following. Those are different skills. Like Kawhi Leonard, as for the example, would be great. He would get D1 scholarship for sure, but he probably wouldn't have a big social media following. So there's basically kind of two routes you can take. And if you take them both together, even better, right?
That's the perfect storm. If you're entertaining or have some sense of a personality and you're badass at playing video games.
Yeah. Like Dennis Rodman or something.
And you're 17 and you haven't started streaming and playing competitively yet, like start tomorrow, because that's a perfect storm for where the industry is going. Is everybody wants to follow somebody that they can connect to, and you can showcase fun, amazing, cool clips because you're good at the game. There's a source of revenue and income for you. And a whole nother piece of like the feel good that I don't want to get too emotional with it, but it's the idea of also like creating a community and creating friendships by playing video games. Like there's so many people that have found their best friend that they haven't met before.
Dude, like I feel like years ago, like I actually kind of got like a little shivers there, like, because I remember the one time my brother was playing video games. My mom's like, "Go play with your friends," and he's like, "I am with my friends," and she was like, "Oh, okay."
Oh, and that's where I think a lot of people, I think kids also have some firepower now to go back to their parents,
right,
because of COVID, and say, "You're meeting new people all the time via this. This is the same thing that I'm doing, just I'm playing a video game."
Right.
You and I have never met before in person. In a perfect world, I don't know where
I'm in Charleston, South Carolina.
Charleston, South Carolina. I would have said, "Man, you know what? I'm actually going to Charleston next month.
Right.
Why don't we just do this in person?" Right. But now we're meeting and creating relationships digitally.
Yeah.
So parents that might have looked down, or your mom that was like, that's weird. Like, how do you do that? You have to meet people and shake their hand. And it's this old guard of the way that you create relationships and friendships with people. Kids have been doing that forever, but it's not been a mainstream form of like being acceptable to do yet.
Right.
Now the parents are doing it, networking, creating relationships, friendships. Like, I mean, look at Tinder. It's like creating true relationships and marriage relationships.
Absolutely.
Digitally. So there's
it's almost a better way to do it. I recently got married and I've had my girlfriend for about 10 years. So that was right. I never got to do the Tinder stage, but it sounds like if you're actually looking for a date, that doing it online is so much more effective than going to a bar. You don't know who's single. You got to pregame. You got to get the ride there, hope that someone's there, and then like kind of try to find someone in a conversation. But Tinder, you got the age, the location, and like specific things. Like it's more effective.
And to me, and that's one of those conversations that I always try to have with people is I'm not saying that it's better or one is worse.
Okay.
I'm just saying that it should be accepted.
Right.
That's
it's socializing. It's socializing. You're building social skills.
The gaming industry in general, to me, is not about saying that it's better or it's not trying to compete with anything else. It's just being like, like show us some cred, like give us some debt. Like we know what we're doing. Like we're making a lot of money. We're entertaining. We're good. Like just give us the respect and make it acceptable is to me where the gaming industry is going right now. Some people, it comes across as, oh, it's better, or you don't play a sport and play video games. And it's like, like chill out. No, like if you don't want to do it, it's okay. But also what you shouldn't do is look down on it or look at it as this like alien form of entertainment or this weird alien form of a career. It's like, no, like you're passionate about engineering or being a doctor or an orthodontist. I'm passionate about being a gaming content creator. I want to get signed to a professional team. I want to be a developer. I want like just a real thing. Like
I love that.
Be acceptable.
I love that. Like, if you play basketball as a kid, even if you don't make it a scholarship or anything, you still made friends like on the team. It's like that. That's really good because a lot of parents would be like, my kid's up there all day by himself playing video games. No, actually, he's not.
And that's the thing. So again, like, but that also used to be what sports was back in the day as well, right? It's just a form of a lot of parents. Like you're not going to make any money doing that. So why are you spending the time to do that? It's the most negative mindset to have ever, because there's so many other value adds to a kid that's growing up that spans beyond making money. I don't care about making money when I'm 8 to 15 years old.
Right.
And the majority of kids, to our whole point, this many kids play sports when they're young, and that many kids actually make it to make money from doing it. Yeah. So what's the value? Kids aren't playing basketball, football, baseball, soccer, tennis, golf to make money when they're a kid playing it. They're doing it for learning how to talk and be with other people. They're making friends. Right. The parents are making friends. Like, there's all this other value that's added. The gaming industry is just like, yeah. So when you just said basketball, football, baseball, soccer, tennis, then say gaming. Right. We just want to be on the list. Like, we just want to be a part of the one.
If I were going to be a negative Nancy about it, the one argument you can make is that you don't get the physical exercise. But I don't know, hand-eye coordination maybe.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, and that's that thing of like, how many, yeah, I mean, again,
that's a fair argument. But
whatever. But like, yeah, absolutely. But like, there are a lot of people that like, do you get physical exercise when you're necessarily like a chef? Like, I don't know, maybe you do. But also, if you're competing at a high level playing a video game, your heart rate is booming. Right?
I believe that's good for your mind. It's keeping you engaged. It's like they say there's like puzzles where you figure it out. It's like brain training exercise. It's better than that. So it definitely has some value. It's not like you're sitting there sleeping and watching TV show or like.
But what about being a doctor, being an author? Yeah. Being like, look at all the other hobbies that people do and kids have that you have to set time aside to say, listen, like, I'm going to play video games, or I'm going to write, I'm going to research, I'm going to study. I mean, you go talk to all the people that are trying to get their MD at some big time Ivy League school. Guess how much physical exercise they're doing in their rooms studying books that are this thick. Zero exercise.
Absolutely.
But would you say that that's not good?
Well, right. I'm with you, man. No, I'm with you. Yeah. Like I'm happy that we're having this conversation because like I'm adjusting to this new thing and I like the way you're putting it. You're saying you just want to be like on par with those things and not look down upon as like, oh, this stoner loser gamer. Like, no, it's not like that. And I respect that.
From the emotional side and then going back to all the way that kind of where you kind of transitioned into the business side is the exact same thing, right? It's us, it's Vayner Media, it's Vayner Gaming, it's us trying to sell Booga, some of the other content creators that we work with, tournaments, games, titles, whatever it is in the gaming space. It's us talking with the non-endemic gaming brands. It's the Pepsis, it's all the QSRs, it's the CPGs, it's the brands of the world that have marketing budgets that are trying to get their message or products in the hands of a certain demographic of people that won't spend in the gaming space, but they spend tens of millions of dollars.
Some dumbass billboard or commercial.
It's a red blood game and it promotes violence or drugs or sex or whatever it might be. And it's kind of like, okay, but like how many athletes get, suspended? How many athletes get caught on camera cursing? How many, social media, it's just
football. You're literally trying to kill the other guy. Like
it's just an evolution of culture right now, and it's just we're at the very, very start of really making something mainstream. And the amount of brands that were in the space 5 years ago versus the amount of brands that are in the space today versus the amount of brands that'll be in the space in 5 years, it's just growing and evolving. And right now we're at the very kind of start of it really becoming mainstream. Because if you're trying to reach a demographic of people that is under that 15 to 24-year-old range, you can't find a better industry to throw dollars at than the game industry. And you can't find better influencers to represent and to capture an attention of an audience with your brand represented than streamers on Twitch and Facebook gaming and YouTube gaming. That audience of people is so captive. It's way more captive than an audience of people that were watching the NBA finals. Yeah. Who after every single timeout, go pee, go cook, do something. They'll kind of watch the game. They'll go away. After I'm on my phone, I'm doing this. If I'm watching a content creator that's doing something entertaining, it's an active form of entertainment. And then I can go in and say, yo, Sean, that was hilarious. Big fan. Actually went to high school with you back in the day. And then if I'm playing and I look over, I'm like, oh, what's up, Sean? Long time no see. You don't get that from a sports sponsorship. You don't get that active engagement with an audience. So from a business side as well, the marketing dollars that are now being allocated for the gaming industry is just going to continue to go up. Not because it's
and how how would a marketer put their dollars into it? Would it like, and traditionally for the NBA, if you're a sponsor, you have commercials, you might have your logo outside the arena or inside the arena or on the floor. Like how does that work in gaming? Of say Coca-Cola wants to sponsor one of these guys.
Very, very similar to it's a carbon copy of sports, right? Okay. So when I look at sports marketing from like, you can look at the ground up. Again, I'm a visual learner, but you can sponsor a player on a team,
and you can like wear your shirt or something like that, right?
Yeah. Again, I can work with LeBron. Yeah. I can work with a specific player on that team to capture that audience of people. I can work with the team in and of themselves. I can work with the Lakers, which I get a little more. I can get access to players, but it's not as engaging with the player. It's more of a player that's passively advocating for
like the logos, brand. Like the logos on the NBA jerseys now. Yeah, that's a team thing.
It's the corporate partnerships of the teams that are less engaging and much more high level. Or you can be a sponsor of a league. Okay. So you get more access to more teams.
Miller Lite, the official beer of the NFL.
Exactly. Or you can partner with the media side of that specific game, where then it goes all the way down to you want to get local, you want to get regional, you want to get national. So it's the same vibe of with gaming is you can work with an individual gamer, you can work with a team or an org, you can work with a competitive league, or you can work and do a broadcast deal where you'd be going through Twitch or Facebook gaming or YouTube gaming, which are the channels that most all gaming content broadcast.
And is there commercials?
It's exactly the same. There are commercials, there's advertisement.
Like in the game, there's advertisements?
Both. So in the broadcast, in the specific broadcast.
What if you could like drink a Coke and get like 10 energy points or something like that?
I mean, seriously, like that's all ways to sponsor a content creator if you're working with one individual, but each individual broadcast has advertisement and commercials that you can engage with. If you want to get a broadcast, partnership, a media buy, so to speak, I would go through Twitch, and then Twitch puts my ad out on all these different channels, and you can pick what type of channels you want your ad to be paid on. So it's, you want to go on the media side, or do you want to go on the player, team, org, league side?
Just like real sports.
It's just like real sports.
Okay, so that's how big brands could put their marketing dollars to an engaged audience, very similar to how they do it in the NBA. What about like if somebody wanted to just know nothing about esports but just wanted to like invest? Is there like what would be the ways they would do that? I guess it's not as easy because it's not like it's just like any other business. You can't really invest in the NBA, I guess, and it's not public.
I mean, you can if you want to be an owner in a team. I mean, you want to, if there's an expansion team that, if Seattle Supersonics are coming back and you want to be part of the team, that, part of the ownership group.
Gary owns a team, right?
So Gary's part owner Gary's part owner in the Minnesota Rocker, which is a Call of Duty League team. And then I'm completely blanking on the name of the Rocket League team that he's also involved with. But
and that's a team. That's a team. So like there's the league level, and he is just like Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys. He owns a team within that league.
He is a part owner in a team within the league. Then there's also organizations like 100 Thieves, NRG, TSM. You've got organizations that have all of these different players that are all competing competitively, but they're not a part of a franchise model league, if that makes sense.
Say that one more time.
So you've got organizations like I think 100 Thieves, TSM, Team Liquid.
And what would be? Is there like a comparison to that in real sports? I guess I like the.
Yeah, it's as if I'm trying to think of what like a good description would be. All
right, an org.
It's almost like it's tough. It's basically organizations are signing players that are all competing competitively, but the leagues that they're playing in are not necessarily. They're not franchise model leagues with like with buy-in. So like Gary's investment into the Call of Duty League, that's a franchise league. So there's a set amount of teams that all have or there's set amount of teams in the Call of Duty League in which there's $25 million to get a slot in the league.
Okay.
And that's it. So like tomorrow, you and I can't just start a Call of Duty team and be competing in competitively. But for Fortnite, like TSM has competitive Fortnite players. Kyle is a part of the Sentinels. Kyle is a part of an organization.
Okay.
But Fortnite doesn't have a franchise model where the Sentinels are one of the teams in the franchised model league of Fortnite. That's not what it is.
Okay.
So Kyle is competing, representing the Sentinels as he competes competitively in Fortnite.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
So that's where you see a lot of celebrities investing in orgs, which are signing competitive players, but also content creators. Like the FaZe Clan is like a big named org that has an ownership in leagues in the Call of Duty League, but they also are signing a lot of content creators.
Gotcha.
And taking a piece.
So Gary owns the team, and that team signs players, and that's his individual investment as a person, right? Because I would imagine then he would try to sign those people on his team to Vayner Sports.
Yeah, there's obviously like there's some conflict of interest of stuff that we can't do due to like some of like the behind the scenes thing, but like Gary's a part of an ownership group that it's himself and who are the owners of the Vikings? I
don't know.
The Wilfs, Wilf family. So it's Gary and the Wilf family are owners in this team.
Okay. And then so Clinton Sparks, who was on my podcast before, he is XSET. And I follow them on Instagram. I follow them on Instagram and I'm liking the post. Like what are they? An org. Okay. All right, starting to make sense. And wow, yeah. So that actually does help understanding the business side of where the opportunities are, what the things are, and then yeah. So what you guys do, right, is represent Vayner Gaming represents basically the agent. You'd be the Drew Rosenhaus. The agent. And then you want to provide as many opportunities and contract negotiations for those opportunities to the individuals. So you want someone who is talented, but also a personality that can bring in money. And then you're going to help them find ways to make money. And that's what you do.
And that's basically what we do. I mean, the difference with us is we're actually part of the machine behind the scenes that's creating the content and the strategy around how to grow their community. So it's not like we're just sitting on our hands that all we do is pick up calls and talk to people all day, but we're not providing any practical daily value to growing our talents community. We're the ones behind the scenes that are cutting up content for TikTok, Thriller, Instagram.
Yeah. And knowing like what's popular and what's working and
exactly. We're much more than just stodgy, slimy agents that sit there and kind of like make commission.
Sit out the preseason, negotiate.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's we're very much on the like, how do we create brand?
Right.
And brand doesn't come with revenue behind the scenes. But if you create brand, you can monetize later.
And that seems like what all agencies should be doing, like moving forward. Absolutely, getting people, building brands with them, and then you can attract better people. But I won't give away all your Vayner secrets. But
there's no secret. It's just kind of like an industry thing. I mean, that's part of the reason AJ and Gary got into representation in the first place when they launched Vayner Sports, and it was just Vayner Football. And then now that over the last 4 to 5 years, there's a reason why we've expanded into baseball and combat and gaming is because what we're doing for our clients is working. And we're okay that we don't get the number 1 draft pick.
Right.
We're okay that we don't get the best person because that's not what our only form of revenue. That's not what we care about.
That's not your niche. I feel like,
we would love it if they fit us, but it's not like we're desperate to just try to get the biggest person ever because our only source of revenue that we're looking for is just off that team deal. And then we never hear from them again.
Right.
Gary and AJ and Mike Nelligan, our EVP of marketing and sales, like we not only talk about it when we're talking with brands, they not only talk about it when they're recruiting, but for our current clients, like we're invested in their career, and a career isn't just when you're on the field or on the court or on the sticks.
Right.
Your career is your career. Like after you retire from your league, you just flip a new chapter, but it's still part of your career. Like just because I left my previous company, my career's not.
Exactly.
I'm just on to a new chapter. So that's the way that we see our clients from the gaming side and from a traditional sports side.
Yeah. And traditional sports, I mean, most careers are over like 27, which is so young. They're 20, you know, like athletes end their careers early. So it's very smart to try to think, what are you going to do after this? And I've been a fan of Gary for years. I'm sure like all entrepreneurs. And I kind of know the way he thinks about that. And he's saying to these athletes, like, college athletes, hey, you're gonna have a career, and you need to find a way to leverage that to be making money later in your career in different ways. And you got to be thinking about that early on, because the paychecks are going to dry up on your 30th birthday if you're an NFL running back. That's even long for an NFL running back, 30. So that's really cool. Are you close with Gary?
What's up?
Are you close with Gary?
Yeah, I mean, it's been super fun to start to become, you know, more connected on the behind the scenes side of Vayner as I've known the camp for the last 5 or 6 years. Now I'm on their team.
Yeah.
So I was getting updates and was a part of the Vayner ecosystem.
You think he's going to end up buying the Jets?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it.
Absolutely.
And even if he doesn't, he'll still probably keep fighting for it. So I think it's more, again, as he always talks about, it's more about the drive.
Right. And I like that. Yeah. Gary's a cool guy. And like I'm always, because you see everyone who is a fan of him as an entrepreneur knows his content, gets the advice from him, podcasting, stuff like that. But it is kind of interesting and not as public, like the things he's doing behind the scenes, like investing in these different things. And I think he sold like a restaurant app or something like that. But I know one thing I've like disagreed with him on before is like, for a young entrepreneur, he's always saying like, do all this different stuff and focus on this and that. I think it's good to just like build up one company and focus on one thing. But who are you going to listen to, me or Garyvee? I don't know.
Well, and again, and even like bringing it back to like, you know, whether it's gaming, whether it's sports, whatever it might be, like it's not smart when you're 8 years old to only play one sport.
Right.
Like, you want to try tennis, you want to swing a golf club, you want to try skating. Like there's a reason why, like, again, people laugh at gym class in middle schools and lower schools, but like it gives you the ability to try new things out that you didn't think that you might have even been good at. If you're so hyper focused at one specific thing, it's all contextual and relevant to you, where you think this is the thing that you're super passionate about, but you haven't tried anything else. So you might even be better at that. I mean, there's so many people that play basketball or football early on, and then all of a sudden they go into this different sport and like, holy crap, I'm actually really good at this. How many football players transition into basketball or basketball to football or baseball to golf or whatever it might be?
Early
using that as an analogy, I think, for whether it's gaming, being able to, like, I'm good at this game, but like I kind of want to just try that game because I might even be better at it.
Right.
And my career takes a different position. From an entrepreneur standpoint, my whole opinion is like, the reason I kind of get what he's getting at is like, if you're so hyper focused on one thing, you don't know what might be just around the corner that might be even a bigger value add, or you might be more excited to be a part of that.
Right.
You're just in your little bubble. So if you're only in your bubble, the only thing that are relevant to you is just everything in your bubble. But you have no idea. It's just around.
Yeah. And as a gamer,
you try new things.
Absolutely. And as a gamer or an entrepreneur, like you said, they're both your career. So if people are following you and people like you and you start doing something else, it's still you. So it's part of your story.
And that's one of the things that you'll see in the gaming space, and it'll continue to come up, is you see a lot of streamers that have built a community that revolve around one title, one game. You know, I only stream this specific game, and then they get very nervous to go to a different game, right? Because if your sole community only follows you because of your title, you now have a weak spot.
You lose a little bit of your personal brand. Yeah, you
because you're
pigeonholed.
You've only built your community based on the title of the game that you're playing, as opposed to building your community based on you and who you are. Right. So that's a big piece to what we're trying to create for our talent at Vayner Gaming, is trying to tell gamers that I get it. You love that game. What you're doing right now is working. What we're focused on is making sure that if something happens, if you want to change games, if the game goes out of business, if something happens, we don't want your whole career to go away.
Exactly.
So how do you put in place, and you know, I was just talking on it, I think on another, I forget who I was talking to on another podcast like a few months ago, where it was like, that's what we're passionate about, is taking folks that use Twitch as their content creation platform, where they're streaming every day from 6 to 8 hours, and then our ability to take what you've already created and distribute that on all of these other platforms.
Exactly.
So that now your touch point to your community is not just on your Twitch channel, but you're finding new audiences and you're engaging with your current audience after your live stream ends. And that's, in my perspective, in our perspective at Vayner Gaming, what a lot of gamers and relevant people in the industry are missing out on. They spend so much time on their Twitch.
Right.
And it's like,
they're not diversifying. They're not diversifying. It'd be like if you have the most popular Facebook page and then all of a sudden they take away the organic reach like they did in 2009 or whatever. And then people were pissed.
And it's the same thing in the gaming space, especially when you start to go into that kind of like top 5-10%.
Yeah.
When Ninja came back on to Twitch, when Dr. Disrespect got banned from Twitch, how many viewers went to the other streamers, right? So there's this whole,
because he had a personal brand.
Well, there were so many people that went on Twitch to watch his content that now don't get that form of content, but they still want to watch Call of Duty, like they still want. So then they're now attracted to a different streamer. So you also get the streamer battle wars of like, like you're kind of competing against. I mean, again, this is like the definition of marketing, right? You're competing for attention. That's all it is. You're competing for attention.
Doesn't matter
on a daily basis. Every company is competing for attention. From an individual content creator gamer standpoint, you're doing the exact same thing. You're competing for attention. If you're super unentertaining, you don't engage with chat, you have no real thing, and all you're doing is just hoping that every stream you do some crazy 360 snipe shot. Well, when you don't do that,
no eyeballs.
What happened? So that's where our perspective is in the gaming space on dealing with talent that we currently have and that we're going after, is we're trying to make our kind of our mantra known, that that's what we're focused on, that there's a lot of table stake opportunities that are easy to get, but a lot of agencies that represent gamers have over leveraged themselves, where they've just signed 100 people, right? And they're all doing the same sort of promo code stuff. And that's not our approach. Our approach is very much similar to AJ and Gary's DNA of starting Vayner Sports, is we're here for your career. So a decision you make today can affect you next year. And we're trying to show you what next year looks like, so you'll be better, like, educated and inspired and motivated to make that decision today based on where your life's going to be next year.
That's business. That's great, dude. I feel like I am much more educated on what esports are in general now. It is a little complicated. I'm not mad at myself for not completely understanding it right off the bat, but I hope that everyone listening has a better understanding of that in general than the marketing element, especially what you guys are doing too. I have no doubt that you guys are going to be super successful. If you're a gamer listening to this, you know where you're trying to get signed by.
Seriously.
But yeah, any final words, parting words? You want people to follow you, follow Vayner?
Yeah, I mean, definitely follow. Vayner Gaming on all social media platforms. Vayner Sports is also super fun. If I'm sure your audience knows some of our talent in the NFL, MLB, and in UFC. And yeah, all my social media channels are This Is D Glove. I don't know, post some funny stuff or post business stuff.
This is D Glove. I like it.
Yeah, so I'm pretty consistent. If you see me on your Warzone or Fortnite or Apex Legends feed, that's my gamer tag on everywhere
there
too.
You go.
So.
That's good branding right there. Boom.
Exactly.
All right, Darren Glover, thank you for the knowledge. I really appreciate it, and you the man.
Appreciate it.
Boom.
Thanks, John.
See ya. Have you ever heard a better podcast in your entire life? Take that, Joe Rogan. Best podcast you've ever heard. Get more podcasts right here and subscribe to the show too while you're at it. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you. Honestly, I love you.